What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Multifamily Wealth Podcast. Got a great episode this week with Charlie Wessel of Cordell Capital. Charlie is a real estate investor based down in Charleston, South Carolina, who actually got started in the general contracting business. And we talk about how he transitioned out of that business, the general contracting world, into actually taking down big commercial real estate deals. And in this episode, we talk a lot about just that transition, and how he made that transition. But we spend most of our time talking about working with VAs and virtual assistants. So the conversation just kind of went in that direction. And Charlie's really passionate about using VAs. And he actually brought one on pretty much right when he started his business. And, in no other words, he's basically said they've completely changed his business. So we talk a lot about a lot of the preconceived notions or assumptions people have about working with VAs that actually just aren't true. Working with companies that source VAs for business owners and why working with companies like that is actually really critical. We talk a lot about what he's actually put on his VA's plate and what he's got off his plate. And if you're someone who's looking to scale your business or you just, you need someone to come in and help you out, I think that this is a great episode for you. And we talk about some other stuff as well, mobile home parks, and we get into, a lot of the final questions that I ask every guest, and Charlie's got some really insightful answers for those. So this is a really good episode. If you're in Charleston or in South Carolina, be sure to reach out to Charlie. He's just a great guy, and go take him out for a beer. He's a great resource. So if you haven't already, please leave a rating and a review for the podcast. Really helps the show get noticed by more people. And if you want a copy of my ebook, leave a rating and screenshot it, and then just shoot it to multifamilywealth@gmail.com. That's pretty much it. Enjoy this video, or I should say this episode with Charlie Wessel. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Multifamily Wealth Podcast. Joining me today is Charlie Wessel. How are we doing, Charlie?
Doing good, Axel. Doing good, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to get into your story here because I think you have a pretty interesting one. We've obviously connected before this, and I think that your transition from the contracting world into real estate is not a story that we've had on the podcast. So let's I'm sure we'll touch on that and spend more time talking about your business now, but I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about that transition. So why don't we start there? Why don't you share kind of what you were doing pre starting your real estate business and how you got into the business?
Right. So I started a general contracting firm back in 2006. Started doing it before then for myself as well, but really started a good one in 2006. And that kind of took off, brought my brothers in, made them equal partners. We were doing all kinds of residential and commercial work here in the Charleston area, Charleston, South Carolina. And it did really well, man. Did really well. I just, was working 60 plus hours a week and had little kids and like tiny little kids and now they're twin 7-year-old girls and 11-year-old son. And, I just got burnt out, man. So I sold it like 4 years ago and hopped right in like head first into the world of investing in commercial real estate.
Gotcha. Yeah. And what was the early part of that process like? I mean, you sold the business, what types of deals were you looking to do? I mean, what types of deals did you actually do? And how did you figure out what you wanted to do within the real estate investing field?
Well, when I first started, I didn't even know really, but I was over our commercial real estate division at the company we built. And I knew that all the guys that I worked for building out office spaces that for guys that own the buildings, because most of the time when a tenant comes into a building, the owner will have some sort of an allowance or something. And so we would go in and build out these office suites for these owners. And it was all these guys were like stinking rich. They all lived on Daniel Island or Sullivan's Island or downtown Charleston. And So I knew that, we had some single family rentals at the time that we kind of ran from our construction company. And I knew that was it was actually a pain in the ass. And we had we had about 6 of them. And so anyways, I went and talked to a buddy of mine who's in the commercial real estate world. He's a broker downtown Charleston. And he said, man, be in C-class apartment complexes. He said, that's where it's at. He said, it's the safest bet. And he didn't even sell that class of asset. Like he didn't even sell multifamily at all. All he sells is industrial and office space. But yeah, so after he told me that, man, I went home and studied it up and signed up for a Michael Blanc course, and it all kind of took off from there.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny that he wasn't selling it, but he was still like, hey, this is where people are putting their money. Nice to have an unbiased opinion.
Yeah. He said it's one of the safest, investments out there. Everybody has to have a home, and the returns are great, and everybody likes a good return on a safe investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty simple.
And you're saying this is about 4 years ago or so that you're making all these decisions, that you're having that conversation.
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, and at that time, I mean, it was a really great time to be getting into B and C class multifamily. I mean, particularly. So, his head was screwed on. It's pretty tight. So you go home, you sign up for a Michael Blanc course, you start reading up on multifamily, start educating yourself, and what happens next? What was that first deal that you did, and let's talk about some of the challenges you faced as you were getting to that first deal.
Well, I went to some of the big events that Michael Blanc put on, and it was great. I mean, it was a great experience. It really was. I'd advise anybody just getting into the business to go check him out. I mean, he's got great content, great material. And I ended up meeting a lot of people there. So I actually met some of the first sponsors that they called me and said, hey, would you like to help raise some capital for this deal? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, I was shooting out emails. I spent a fortune in lunches, dinners, cocktails. I mean, a lot of money, and ended up raising like $100,000 for the deal. So it wasn't even, I mean, I'm telling you, it was a lot harder than I had anticipated to raise money, because I'm known as Charlie the Contractor, not Charlie the real estate investment guy who's going to, help you build your retirement. So anyways, coming out of that, it really made me wake up and know that I had to really tighten up the game and get out and get more exposure. So, right after that was when I hired a virtual assistant, and she is just crucial in helping me out on the day-to-day items and getting all the, getting the word out and getting people educated about what we do, me and you, Axel, about what we do as far as helping people to grow their wealth, how the wealthy do it, and not how, us poor middle-class people have been taught to do it our whole lives.
No, that's a great point. And I really want to, so there's two things that I want to or two roads I want to go down, I guess, there. I mean, obviously we've had conversations kind of offline, not during this show, right? But just in general, we've chatted about how successful VAs have been, just in terms of within your business, and how successful they've kind of made your business in terms of allowing you to go out there and actually spend time on what matters. And I want to talk about that for a little bit, because I think that, you got a lot to share at that. But maybe just a quick couple of points on the first thing you mentioned about how people knew you as Charlie the Contractor, like you said, right? You came from a contracting background, not a real estate background, not a finance background, not an investing, some kind of investing background. I think a lot of the people that are listening to this show, especially those that want to maybe raise capital or build relationships within real estate, whether it's brokers or lenders or whoever that are coming from different industries, I think that's a challenge a lot of people have. So do you have any quick pieces of advice for people who are transitioning from another career into real estate in whatever capacity or at least that you found helped you along that way?
Yeah, just start talking about it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Start talking about it with your buddies right now.
Yeah, start shoving it down people's throat that this is what you do.
Exactly.
In person, online. Yeah. I mean, that is truly the best advice, because how else are people going to know?
Right.
So let's talk about VAs, because you brought it up, and I do want to go there at some point, so we might as well go there now. So I think there's a few ways we can kind of take this conversation. I guess the first question I want to ask is, why VAs? How did that even enter your world in terms of something that you might want to do, hiring one? And maybe a quick follow-up to that is, what were some of the preconceived notions that you had about working with a VA, or some of the assumptions that you had made about working with VAs that just turned out to not be true once you hired one and started working with one?
Well, I had heard about VAs through podcasts. Really, I listen to a podcast every day, at least one. And I'd heard Neil Bawa has a great podcast on virtual assistants. The one misconception that I had with a virtual assistant is that you pay them like $2 an hour and they just come in and start just knocking everything out. Well, I mean, I've found that through researching different avenues of acquiring a virtual assistant, that you really, you get what you pay for. And my virtual assistant now, I mean, I paid like a pretty good setup fee to have the company that offers virtual assistants to help me kind of come up with a game plan on what she could do. I mean, really, they spent like, an hour with me on the phone or over Zoom, actually, a Zoom meeting, to kind of come up with a whole, business plan on what this virtual assistant can do. And then they lined up, I think, 8 different virtual assistants for me to interview. I didn't even know what to ask them. So, I mean, I had a couple of questions, but I actually emailed the company. The company's Rocket Station. And I emailed them and I said, I'll be honest with you guys, I need questions to ask this virtual assistant to make sure I'm getting a good one.
Which is something that I think a lot of people have a problem with, right? Is like they don't even know where to start to try and figure out what work to give them, just in general.
Right. No, and I'll be honest with you, man, I had no idea. I was like, well, maybe she can help me out cleaning up my email inbox, and that's just for starters. I didn't really know what else to do. And I mean, after that phone call with Rocket Station, we had a gigantic list of things that she could do to help me out. Now, most anything she does as far as any content creation or anything like that is from stuff that I send her. She'll create the content, and then I go back and I read through it, make edits, stuff like that, to make it my own words. But yeah, they really helped me game plan it out. And when she came on, I mean, it took us a good couple of months to get everything to where it was dialed in, and we really were clicking. But I tell you the truth, it's been so worth it. I mean, it's been over a year now, and I honestly, there's no way I would be able to get done what all we do in a day, without her. There's no way.
Mm-hmm. So what specifically do you have her doing now? I mean, maybe give me like 3 or 4 like major things that you've taken off your plate and delegated to her. I mean, do you have 3 or 4 big things that you would suggest somebody gets off their plate that's in a similar position as you were?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She manages all of our social media content. She creates all these social media posts on Canva, and then she puts them in a folder, to be reviewed by Charlie. And then another folder says approved by Charlie. And I go into that folder and I edit whatever I need to edit, go ahead and throw it in there. But as far as like all the pictures and the backgrounds and all that stuff, I mean, dude, I would have no idea how to do that. I'm a contractor.
Yeah.
So I would have no idea how to make it as cool looking as she does. But she makes a post every single day on LinkedIn. We're really driving LinkedIn right now. As a matter of fact, we just got Sales Navigator yesterday for LinkedIn, and she's building out automations in that. We do Facebook, we do Instagram, which, you know, she's been doing Instagram posts for like a year. I just got Instagram on my phone like 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, I didn't even know what, you know, I mean, seriously, I was trying to keep my social media presence at a minimum, but that's just not really an option in doing what we do. You know, You really got to put it out there and make sure you get a lot of traction. But yeah, she also handles our CRM. We use ActiveCampaign. You know, she sets up all kinds of automations, like when somebody goes on and clicks this, boom, they get this email. When, you know, if they open the email and click on this link or that link, then they get another email. And then that just kind of keeps them, you know, keeps them on the hook per se, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, she does that. She does manage my inbox on my email. Like I said, that way I'm not going through, you know, 200 emails a day about nothing. But yeah, she's great.
Let me stop you there just for a second, because that's one thing that I was hoping to kind of dive in a little bit deeper about, right? And this is a purely selfish question as somebody who is trying to figure out how to spend less time staring at my email inbox, which is like just too many hours of my day is spent, you know, replying to emails. What are some things she's actually doing to kind of manage your inbox? I mean, is it flagging certain emails? Is it, you know, responding to people? Is it, you know, what exactly is she doing to free up some of your time there?
She does. She flags all the emails that she thinks I need to look at. You know, just yesterday, she went through and marked several things as junk mail. So it's all going into junk mail. I made sure that she kept my Palmetto State Armory emails coming through. Those are the important ones, man. You know, you got to find out what the daily deals are at the local armory down here. So anyways, yeah, she's, you know, she's got, oh my God, you know, 25 different folders down there that she can then, you know, place different emails in if I want to keep them. You know, she just keeps up with all the junk mail, making sure if something goes in there it's not supposed to be in there, then it gets moved out. She sets the rules for my Outlook. It's really, without her, my life would be filled with clutter and I would be I'd have less hair than I have right now.
I hear you. I mean, that's great. So because I think you mentioned a lot of things that people know they need to be doing and they spend too much time doing, right? Which is social media content creation. It's, you know, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's, I say you mentioned some things people need to spend more time. You also mentioned something that people need to spend less time doing, which is, you know, having their head in their email inbox, just replying to emails all day, which very well can just become your life, right? Especially as a real estate investor or an entrepreneur or whatever, right? I mean, it's just, you know, you're getting 10 emails a minute, right? And probably 3 of them you got to reply to in some fashion. So having somebody to be a screener on that respect is got to be helpful. You know, so I do want to, I mean, this is all great, right? And I think that major takeaway here is like VAs will free up a ton of your time, whether at whatever specific job they're doing. And I mean, I would imagine you agree with this. I think that the biggest preconceived notion people have is either A, I don't have enough work for them. B, I don't know what to give them, right? I don't know what to put on their plate. But if you work with a company that helps you, you know, figure that out, that's a pretty big benefit. And C, that, you know, they're not able to do the work, right? And maybe you can speak to that a little bit too, like written communication, oral communication. You know, like a lot of the people I know that are thinking about hiring VAs, they don't, because they're like, I just don't know if she's going to be a good representation of me. Or I say she or he is going to be a good representation of me or the company or what have you. But maybe you can speak to that a little bit in terms of like quality of communication, in terms of the just the work quality and maybe some things in that field, right? Because I think that's something that people have a hard time mentally getting over too.
Yeah, for sure. We use, me and her personally right now, we use Zoom to communicate. And not Zoom has a chat feature as well, where you can upload documents and do all that stuff and just chat right here on your computer. I can do it on my phone. That way, if I need to call her and I'm out on the road or something, I just open up my Zoom app and hit the call button and it calls her. She's over in the Philippines. As far as her, communications, I mean, these guys, they're really stringent on who they hire for a virtual assistant candidate for their clients. So Rocket Station does a really good job of, weeding out people that, that don't speak very good English. I mean, my girl, she speaks great English. She's phenomenal. And right now, man, I mean, we got 364 units with another 100 plus pads coming in from a mobile home park fund that we're doing. This is our first mobile home park fund, but I mean, right now we're sitting at like $24 million worth of assets. So we got a bunch of investors that we communicate with, and she does a phenomenal job. I mean, yeah, it took us a couple of months to get to where we needed to go. And I'm sending her articles and I'm sending her, podcasts and stuff like that I think is going to help her really learn this business at a, drinking from a fire hose pace. But it's, they also qualify them so that usually the VAs that a real estate professional is looking for, they've already worked in the real estate world at some point or another. Yeah, they've worked for a real estate company before. And so that helps too. I mean, she already knew some of the stuff coming in. Now, the people she worked for before us, they did like fix and flip houses in like the Northeast, I think. So she didn't know a whole lot about multifamily, but we got her we got her learned up quick, bud.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that the big takeaway from what you just mentioned is it's really helpful to work with a company that it serves as kind of like the middleman, right, between you and the VA, right? Like, there are numerous companies that their whole, value proposition is they go out, interview the VAs, train them, make sure they're a good fit, match them with the right companies, act as kind of support for, the entrepreneur, the business, the client or whatever. And that's a lot easier than trying to go out there and directly find one yourself. I mean, there's a lot of companies that do that. You mentioned Rocket Station being one. I've had a couple of guests on the show that have mentioned other ones. So there's a few, but like just in general, working with a company that does that is pretty critical. I would imagine, in terms of being able to get off the, to get on the ground or to get off the ground, I should say, and just get going rather than spending all your time screening potential VAs. So,
right. Which is what you do what you do when you go on Fervor or, what's another one that you
like Upwork is the big one. Upwork. I think that people, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you're just going directly to them and you're doing all the interviews. They may have never worked in real estate before, and can tell you they did, but these people here, they really background check their virtual assistants.
That's great. So I do want to hop back to real estate before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you got 360 plus units, right? You're bringing in a mobile home park right now. I mean, what kind of deals are you guys looking for at the moment in terms of if you're actively looking for deals or are you mainly right now just raising capital for other operators?
Yeah, I'm really looking for other operators to work with. And I have several really good ones right now. So yeah, what we do is we come in on the GP side and we bring capital into the deal. We can manage investor relations for the whole deal, or obviously just for our investors. Yeah, we are looking at closing on 5 different mobile home parks here within the next 3 to 4 weeks in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I've never looked into mobile home parks before, man. And I met up with an operator out from Raise Masters that we're both in, Hunter Thompson's group. And it's phenomenal. I mean, the returns on these things are just incredible. And we don't just plan on going in and, being a slumlord at a trailer park. We plan on really making an impact in the community. Like, we want to go in and make these places nicer, bring in some new homes into the parks and make people, love where they live. I mean, It's the same thing we do with our apartment complexes. So yeah, I've talked to a couple of different operators this week about helping them on their capital raise for some apartment deals as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we look for as operators in the spaces.
Gotcha. No, I mean, it's good to have a really clear strategy, right, with that. And I've had a couple of guests on the show recently, and when this episode comes out, I mean, there's probably going to be even a couple more episodes that go up between when we're recording this and when this goes live, that are with people that are mainly capital raisers, right? They go out there, they partner with other operators, and it's a really interesting way to approach the business in that, it's oftentimes the shortest pathway or the quickest path to getting into larger deals, whether it's a large mobile home park community or a large apartment deal. If you can put together money and then bring it to somebody else and partner with them on it, somebody who's got a track record, I mean, that's usually the best way to get into those deals. And it's typically the easiest way to scale, at least, right now, where the deal flow is so challenging to come by. So do you find that that's the core focus of your business and will remain the core focus of your business going forward, is partnering with other operators? Or do you find yourself going out there and trying to source, your own deal flow and actually operating deals as well?
Right now, I'm partnering up with operators. I got some good partners when we do come into the GP. The last one we did, 66 unit apartment complex in Greensboro, North Carolina. We just did a partial distribution with 8% pref, and our partial distribution on just under the first 2 months was already at 3.15% of their initial investment.
Wow. So you're going to hit that pretty easily.
It's killing it already. I look for the really in-depth guys that really want to manage the assets and manage the property managers. I mean, that's kind of a part, coming out of the construction world, man. I've dealt with enough crayon eaters. I just want to go out and this sounds terrible, man, but I want to go out and have some drinks and play golf with guys and raise capital, man. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, so, it's not a bad gig, right?
It's not a bad gig at all, man. I love it. It's fun,
That's fantastic. Well, I want to make sure we get to the last 4 or 5 questions that I ask every guest, so we'll transition over to that now. First one I got for you is, what is a piece of advice you would give yourself before starting your real estate career?
Yeah, I just talked to a kid who was 22 years old yesterday, and he was just coming out of school, coming out of college, and he's like, man, I have no idea what I want to do. I said, go to a commercial real estate firm and tell them you'll do anything. You'll be the runner. You'll be whatever they need you to be. I said, get in, learn as much as you can. I said, it'd actually be better. And I know there's several fund companies here in Charleston that run major funds to buy apartment complexes. I said, man, go get in on the ground level with these guys. Find out how they underwrite. Find out what they think about, how they think on deals. I said, and you're 22 years old. I said, by the time you're 35 years old, that can make you a multimillionaire.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I always say something similar to people when I'm asked that question, is like, just try and go work for less or for free for somebody that can show you the ropes. I mean, it's like so simple, but if you can go out there and cold call or go try and find deals or just prospect or something, learn how to actually find deals, learn, and then watch the other people put together the money and then just go do that on your own. It's like, and the only way you can really do that is if you're willing to do it for cheap or free or what have you. So that's great. What do you think is one of the best decisions you've made in your career thus far, your real estate career?
Hiring a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
No
Probably
joke.
could have seen that one coming.
Yeah, hiring a virtual assistant for sure.
Yeah. That's great. What has been your biggest business related failure and what did you learn from it?
I think, there's two things my dad always told me. He said, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And also trust, but verify. Yeah. And so when I was running the construction company for, after a few years of getting into it and it grew pretty big, I trusted more than I should have without verifying. I'm still an extremely trusting person. Like, I think everybody's good out there, man. You just got to give them a shot until they mess up. But that mess up can really hurt you.
I hear you. Yeah.
So that, and also, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I work every day, man. I work every day. I come in my office here. Now, it is in my house. I mean, in between me and your interview, I had a big meeting with the GP team, the general partnership team on the Fayetteville deal. And then I, took my dog for a run. I was in the golf cart, dog's running. It's, but I still work my fanny off every day in this office until about 4:00. And then I take the kids to the pool and hang out.
There you go. But yeah, showing up every day. I mean, that's the critical part.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Trust, but verify. It's funny. That's especially for all the young folks getting into business. You tend to think everybody's got your best interest at heart, and it's going to be farther from the truth sometimes. So that's always that's my answer too. When I get asked that is, working with unscrupulous people or just trusting the wrong people, especially early, because it can really set you back. So that's a good piece of advice. What is one skill or trait that you would attribute your success to?
Running my damn mouth. Seriously.
Yeah.
I can talk and hang out with just about anybody, man. I love people. I love hanging out with people. It's, this is a people business. This is definitely a team business. And, you got to have a team to go out and knock the dinosaur down and drag it back to the house. Mm-hmm. So it's just being good with people and encouraging people, uplifting people, and helping people get wealthy off of their investments.
I hear you. No, I mean, it's you need that skill set to go out there and raise a lot of money and bring a lot of people together for one common goal, right? I mean, because that's really what it is. So yeah, it's a critical skill. That's great. So last one I got for you, what are some of your short-term goals? What are you looking to do over the next 6 to 12 months? Your business, anything?
Yeah. So, first of all, the podcast tour, I got about 30 more podcasts to hit this year to be a guest on, as well as, and we're lining them up as fast as, they're coming in pretty quick. So that shouldn't be a very difficult goal to hit. We want to take down, I got 3 different funds that we're working on to take down more of these trailer parks. And like I said, it's almost like a community building project that is just returns like crazy. So we're doing a good thing out there by helping these people, helping the community, and our investors are benefiting like crazy from it. But, so we got 3 different funds that we're going to be setting up this year. I'd like to get in like 2 more apartment syndication deals. And I've been talking, like I said, I talked to 2 different operators this week, some really heavy hitters about coming in and raising some capital for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that and spending more time with my kids. I already spend a ton of time with my kids, but I'm trying to shut down by like 4:00 every day. That way we got plenty of time between then and dinner to go hang out, go to the pool, go outside, kick soccer ball, throw a baseball, whatever we, want to do. We ride dirt bikes. We got all kinds of redneck toys. We got 4-wheelers and Can-Am side by side and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, have fun.
Love it, man. No, that's the best goal right there. You're spending more time on a dirt bike. That's got to be one of the best goals I think I've heard somebody mention on this show.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, this has been great, Charlie. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. If people want to learn more about you or your business, where can they do so?
They can hit us up on Facebook or LinkedIn, as well as our website. It's cordellcapital.com. If you'd like to give me a call, my personal cell phone number, 843-200-9552, or hit us up on email, info@cordellcapital.com.
Cool. I'll put all that stuff in the show notes, and reach out to Charlie if you're interested in mobile home parks, if you're interested in learning more about some of the apartment deals he's doing, or if you're down in Charleston or South Carolina. Seems like a great guy to get a beer with. So
I'd love to get a beer with you.
I'll have to be there in spirit. Well, thanks again for coming on. This was a great chat. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Axel.